What's up, everyone? Already getting some what's that? Hydrates in the chat. Let me move you guys over here. How is everyone doing? How's everyone tonight? How are you guys doing? What's going on? What's new? I'm happy to be here. Tonight's the night. All right? Tonight's the night where I beat Guardians of the Galaxy. That is, I'm gonna beat it. I'm gonna play it. We're gonna beat it. I know I said that last week. You know what I forgot to do? I forgot to get my cup of coffee. I should go make that before we start playing the game. But really, before we start playing the game, I gotta get some. I gotta get something off my chest. Oh man! Oh man! So I watched Cowboy Bebop. I don't know how else to put it. I struggled to finish it. Like, I just finished it before hopping on to do the stream just now. And let me tell you, it has been, oh my gosh. It's been painful to watch. Let's see. Just finished putting some more preparations in the D&D campaign. I'm running ready to be a waste of time as the players manage to skip right over it. Yeah, that sounds about right. I wish you best of luck, and I want to hear how that first campaign goes. And it's your first time DMing, if I'm not mistaken. Also, shout outs. I got something in store for you guys. For content wise for D&D later on. You know me, I'm always working on stuff. I'm always trying to make things happen. But jeez Louise, I didn't even write bullet points. I didn't even care to write bullet points for this. This is a sloppily put together review. I'm gonna be a little biased because I did watch the original Cowboy Bebop. You know, I watched it when it was freaking like animated and things of that nature, and I loved it. It is one of the first animes that I absolutely fell in love with in an anime that I've rewatched. But live action adaptations just from my experience, at least from the American ones, they just don't work. They don't work. They need to change something up. And it's like, why? I don't know. I used to be a huge fan of making things live action and seeing them again. But now I just don't care. Like, there's something about animation that you can't really recapture. And why are you trying to have lightning strike twice? I'm going to go into this kind of bias. I'm going to try to give you guys my point as to why I don't like it. I'm going to tell you right off the bat that I don't recommend the show. I recommend a lot of things. I do not recommend Cowboy Bebop. Also, shout out to Tetsuo for his first session going to be Sunday. I doubt he'll be streaming it or anything, but let's all wish him luck. Let's all send that good luck, good vibe energy towards Ezio as he attempts his first session. Cowboy Bebop, what this one does, so I'll speak from a fan. They try to make original like storylines, and they try to make original things come out from it. This, in my opinion, is not a bad thing. Like, if you're gonna take something and you're gonna modernize it, or you're gonna, you can change some things up. I feel like the thing about Cowboy Bebop, in my opinion, is that it was already ahead of its time for a lot of concepts, and that you could just use the same stories. The problem with what they did with taking these liberties with these stories is that it changes the characters. It changes how they interact with one another. It changes the interactions they have. And it feels like, at first I thought they were just taking liberties for the show, but the way that the show ends, it feels like they're trying to do it for a season 2. They're trying to do a sequel to it all and get them together. That that really grabbed me. And the reason I have an issue with the season 2, because this one follows the same trends of the animated version of Cowboy Bebop, but again, it cuts out a lot of things and adds a bunch more stuff. When I say it adds things, it adds a lot of unnecessary dialogues, unnecessary sequences. It adds so much, like, there are, for those of you who have watched the anime and haven't seen the live action, I'm going to give you guys an example. So in the anime, they go get the dog, Ein, later known as Ein, which is this good boy right here. This good boy. That's Ein, okay? So they go get Ein from the in the show. In the show, it and they follow the same steps. It's like, if I were to spell it out for you, you know, it kind of follows the same guidelines and the rules. Like, the story, the foundation is still there. However, in the show, they make it kind of a bit to express how smart the dog is, and the dog's just not like a normal dog in the animated version. And later on, that becomes like a key feature in the what's it called, like the storyline, and helping them with other bounties and other things. And the dog's actually a character in the show. I'm a side character, a minor side character, but still one that enough that a lot of people who own a corgi name their dog after him. The problem with the show is that it goes as far, so Hakim is the main person that they're chasing, and we learn way too much about Hakim that we didn't. It's so pointless that even in the show, the live action version, whenever they're expressing, or they're giving us the plot, they're just telling us the plot. It doesn't matter. We do not care. I do not care. They try too hard to tell us the plot, and that is so so annoyed by that. There's no subtlety in this show. The entirety of the show is just them saying, "Hey, this is why we're here. This is what we're doing. This is what we're going to do." Show don't tell is so important. And when a show, when a series is telling me how I should feel, when a series is telling me to sympathize with this character or to be sad for this character, I can't do it. If you just tell me to do it, I can't connect with them. I think that's an overall big problem with the show. Another one is scenes last way too long than they should, all to get a joke in. And coming from me, that's pretty bad, because I am all for corny jokes. I love corny humor. I'm a fan of like the MCU, Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I like the jokes that they put in there. Like, I'm unabashedly unashamed of them. But these jokes in here are so bland that I'm like, okay, let's just get to the point. Like, what's going on next? What's going on? And everything feels too stale. Nothing ever feels nothing ever flows or feels natural. It feels like things happen because they have to happen in the show. And so I don't appreciate like the story. And like, if you're gonna spend extra time on episodes, they cut out a lot of the filler episodes and they stuck to the main points. But and I thought that would have been a good thing, because streaming services, they get the money right away, so we don't have to put in the filler episodes. But what they did instead was they made the episodes way longer than they needed to be, and they added more story that didn't need to be there. We get backgrounds on characters that we didn't have before, and honestly, it ruins the characters. I tried watching this from a perspective of like, if I've never seen the animated version, because funny enough, my dad texted me and he was like, "I really like the show," and I thought, okay, Dad. Okay, you really like the show. Okay. Well, I'm a hope, because my dad, he's a fan of Firefly, but I think he's just a fan of anything that is a science fiction fantasy type of adventure. This I think, even if you don't know Cowboy Bebop, I think if this show didn't have the name Cowboy Bebop on it, I wouldn't be as harsh on the show, but I still wouldn't like it. Like, I'm still like positive about that. The storylines and the things that happen, it has good moments. I'd be lying if there weren't moments that I enjoyed, but there were very few. There are very few moments. Other than that, the show tries to be edgy, lighthearted, and serious all at the same time, which can work. I never have a problem with those things not working, but 1 second, they're constantly talking about, like, they're constantly making penis jokes, dick jokes, and talking about sex and cursing and cursing and cursing and cursing, and then the next second it's like sweet and laughing and, oh my gosh, forceful laughing at that. Like, I mean, like, that's nitpicking though. No, see, I lost where I was at. I'm in such a conundrum. I didn't even take the time to write the bullet points because I barely finished it. I was considering not even like finishing the show because I was having such a hard time with it. If you like the show, I totally understand why. It takes a ragtag cast of people, puts them together, and they go on these adventures. And they learn to be a family, and they learn to fight and overcome their difficulties, and then it sets up for they have some weird adventures that they go on, and sometimes they have chemistry and other times they don't, and it's almost, but it just feels like an echo of the anime. And I think, like, if you're gonna do something like this, I think in the future, I don't know, I may change my mind later, but like in the future, if you're gonna do live actions or do other things of the nature, you should just like don't try to do what was originally done. Like, look at Star Wars. Look at the Clone Wars. They animated Star Wars, but they didn't redo the prequels. They took those characters and they had them go on other adventures, and they had them express and do things that they couldn't do in live action. And then and so on. And they even did that with the latest thing that they released with they turned Star Wars into an anime. And so that was like, I think if you were gonna make a live action, do it in a different timeline. Do it in a time where we're not already connected with the stories and the characters, and like you just don't touch that part. Because I really used to think that if you changed up, it's okay to have some freedom with the source material. It's okay to change up if you're gonna redo it. But now it's just like, why? Like, why redo it? And then some people may ask, like, why even do a live action? Just go watch the old one. It's like, well, I'd like to see an updated version of it, right? That would be cool. And then what's the point of doing like a shot for shot, take for take? I don't know. Seeing an updated version would be cool. Even so, the old one's still good, but that's just a personal opinion. I want to hear your guys' personal opinions below. If I were to score Cowboy Bebop, honestly, geez, like 3 out of 10. Some good things. I don't want to leave a sour taste. I didn't even do my normal like rotation here. We'll just rapid fire do them real quick and unbiased. I usually try to do like a good and bad, but here we go. Rapid fire. Plot stayed consistent. I can give it that much. But it lacked the weight that it needed. There are times where you're supposed to feel things for characters, but it doesn't fall through because everything, again, is mainly because the exposition is being told to you. You're constantly being told how to feel and what to feel at different parts of the show. So whenever things actually happen, you don't care. And it doesn't hurt. There's a huge plot twist at the end of the show, and it's like, at that point, I was so done. I just didn't care. I didn't care. It didn't hurt me. It actually, like, for me, it worsened the entire series. And that kind of stuff happens throughout the whole thing, where they'll have a whole episode will be gone, and it'll be like a joke, which is reminiscent to Cowboy Bebop, but just it doesn't fit here, and it doesn't do the same thing, because there's a lot of subtlety in the anime, and they don't do any subtlety here in this show. So plot twists and feelings and weight don't work. Cinematography, it's good, but it's really bad. There's Dutch angles. Like, every shot is diagonal. Every other shot is sideways diagonal. It's like, why? Just like, I I don't know why it's used so much. I'm not a cinematographer, but it's used so often. It was like watching Thor all over again. I don't know if you guys ever saw Thor, but you know how every shot in that movie was diagonal? Yeah, it was like that. The fight sequences were cool. I mean, I would say above average. I'm not gonna put them up there with like Shang-Chi is really good when it comes to fight sequences because everything's open. You know, like those martial arts, like Ip Man and other things. There were still cuts and still point-aways, and even the gunplay when they were shooting each other was kind of boring. There was nothing really great. It was just like them shooting and then cutting to someone getting shot. So that was not that great. They had some really cool fight sequences where you got to see everything, and the choreograph was decent enough for what they were trying to portray. You know, I'm not gonna nitpick like, oh, you know, this actor was like standing still for 1.5 seconds and things like that. No, it was good enough. They did a lot of zoom ins, but they made Spike feel really stale, flat, stiff. They made Spike feel stiff when in the anime and stuff like that. He's a dancer. I keep comparing it to the anime, which if some people want to say like, oh well, you know, they're adding original content and they're making it their own thing, so it's not really the anime, it's kind of like a reboot. Well, that's my phone. I'm not queuing for a dungeon. That's just my phone. Well, at first I thought the same thing, but they take so many crucial story points from the original and they try to mimic so many things, even pulling from the movie and taking shots in certain aspects and lighting and angles from the anime, that I'm like, no, they're recreating the anime. They're taking even the trailer, they show scenes from the anime to get you to come watch it in the trailer. So yeah, choreographing is good, but mixed with the cinematography, it's kind of bad, and they don't really capture what Spike does, but they do an amazing job. They still do a great job with the choreograph, but it just doesn't. It feels too stiff. CGI and all that other stuff is really good. It's really cool to see the Bebop in live action. It's I mean, they got space travel, looks good. They nailed it. I mean, the CGI looks good, especially for a TV show. I mean, I've seen other TV shows that have worse CGI, and I still like them. This one, really good. The set design, really great. I love how messy everything looks. They really captured the scenery and the world and the future of like the Cowboy Bebop that's still like stuck in, I guess, like the 80s or 90s, but it's like in the future, but they modernized it a bit. So they did a great job with that. Overall, what really hurts this is a story. You know, the story hurts it. The actors, I mean, I feel like it was like watching the prequels. You know, you had decent actors, but really weird dialogue and really weird lines that had to be just it's just a lot of just two people talking back and forth, which is good, but that's not what this show was trying to do. And it's not talking like Game of Thrones where they're talking about politics and like crucial plot points and what's going to happen to certain characters. It's just them doing jokes and riffing each other back and forth for way longer than it needs to be. Anyways, that's how I should have done the review going into this, but I was fresh off the ending episode, and because I honestly had just been putting it off because I just didn't want to watch it, but I did. And I did so you don't have to. So you're welcome. Until next time. Play nice.